Hello you lot, this is KeefCooks, I'm Keef, and today I'm going to make minced beef cobbler with cheese scones. They're not scones, they're scones. So last week I made clotted cream with scones, sweet ones, and it reminded me of cobbler, minced beef cobbler specifically, because really that's the only version that I've ever had. I know there are fruit cobblers, like peach and so on, or apple. But as I always do, I have a quick trawl through the internet, through other people's recipes and videos, and I saw a lot from the UK where they were using dumplings or suet dumplings instead of scones. And I just thought that is, well, it's a different thing, because I've always understood that it's called cobbler because the separate scones look like cobbles on a cobbled street, whereas dumplings, especially the way I make them, they would look like craggy rocks on, an eroding coastline. It might be nice in December, but it is the middle of summer now and the sun is shining, it is hot. So it's possibly not the most appropriate recipe to do on a hot summer's day. But, well, I'm committed now, so it'll be wonderful, I know. Alright, if you enjoy this video, press like and do the other stuff. Thank you. Let's get on with it. Minced beef cobbler with savoury cheese and herb scones. We need to do the meaty bit first, so I've got 450 grams of minced beef, half a litre of, that's actually homemade chicken stock. You could use beef stock, not necessarily homemade. A couple of onions, a carrot, some celery, a small handful of flat leaf parsley, a few sprigs of thyme, a teaspoon of yeast extract, or Marmite if you like to splash the cash, a squirt of tomato puree, some salt and pepper to taste. So we need to peel and chop the onions, top and tail them, cut them in half and peel them, and then chop it with your magic knife. Now I'm heating up a big frying pan. I put some rapeseed oil in there. This is extra virgin rapeseed oil and I use it in place of extra virgin olive oil. It's that good, it really is. Heat that up, chuck a bit of onion in, and when that sizzles, put in the rest of the onion and let it cook gently for 5 minutes. We just want to soften it, well, maybe brown it a little bit. Then I've got the carrot and the celery, which I've diced quite finely, and I'm going to add those and turn the heat right down, let those just sweat for about 10 minutes with the onion. And then add the beef and break that up and get that browned all over. When it's browned all over, turn down the heat and add your stock. Let that cook for a few minutes, then give it a squirt of tomato puree and a teaspoon of yeast extract. And then cover it and just let that simmer for about half an hour. Now I'm going to add the herbs and stir those in and taste it for seasoning and add salt and pepper if I think it needs it. And at this stage you can start making the scones. They'll take 30 to 40 minutes to cook in the oven on top of this meat stew. Actually, before I make the scones and put them on top, I want to put some frozen peas in. This is slightly controversial, but I like peas in my minced beef, and some people don't, so it's up to you. Now, ingredients for the scones: I've got 175 grams of self-raising flour, I've got 50 grams of butter, about 90 grams of cheese, that needs to be grated, 150 ml of milk, a little bit of chopped parsley, a little bit of, well, a teaspoon of dried sage, a teaspoon of mustard powder, and probably a half teaspoon of salt. So these are kind of savoury scones. They're similar to what we did last week, but not identical. Alright, I'll just mix the salt and the mustard in with the flour, and then we'll rub in the cold butter cubes with our freezing cold fingertips. I need to grate the cheese. Now I'm going to put it all together. So I'm not using all the cheese, just a bit over half of it to go in the mix and the rest of it to go on top. So that's that. The sage and parsley. And stir that all together. I put the salt in earlier, didn't I? With the mustard, I hope. And now I'll just add the water in stages. We don't want to add too much water because that'll make the dough sticky and hard to work with. Okay, we're nearly ready to finish it off, so you need the oven preheated to 180 Celsius for a fan oven, convection oven. That's 200 for a conventional one, and that is gas mark 6. So get some flour on your worktop, get your dough, and just, well, squash it or roll it to about 1 inch, 2.5 centimetres. And then cut your scones into discs or squares or whatever. Use a cutter or just use a ruler or a knife. Whatever you've got. Now you can either transfer the mince to an oven-proof casserole dish, or if you've been clever like me and done it in a pan that works in the oven, i.e. hasn't got any plastic bits, keep it in there and then we'll just pop the scones on top. But before I do that, I want to glaze the tops. This is actually just some egg white with a splash of milk in it. You could use whole egg beaten or just milk or whatever. But do use something, otherwise they'll look pale and pasty. Not nice. A sprinkle of cheese on each one. And just arrange them evenly spaced kind of thing. And we'll pop this in the oven for 30 to 40 minutes and maybe turn it round halfway through. I've had this a couple of years and only yesterday found out it can do this. Right, time's up, let's have a look. Oh yeah, look at that. And now it's taste test time with Mrs. KeefCooks. Da, da, da.
Hello darling. Hi guys.
Oh pal.
Tell you a secret production schedule. It's 9:05 in the morning.
Breakfast.
Because we didn't do this yesterday.
Because England were winning at the football.
So, spontaneous.
Oh what?
Taste test time in the morning. Oh, okay, that means this is all for me, yeah? Yeah. I do like scones. Scones in gravy. Hooligan. Well, it's meaty and beefy. Those are big and bouncy, but you put too much salt in it for my taste.
Yeah.
He doesn't care.
No, I don't.
You know, you like things saltier than I do, don't you? It's a matter of taste.
That's too salty. But
okay.
You can fix that.
He told you.
Yeah. Okay. Later. No, it's not that, is it? Thanks for watching.
Good morning.
And see you next time.